about drip irrigation. And when it comes up in tabletop, you'll say, I know what Israel's doing. It's saving the world. So now I'd like to bring to you, here's what's happening today. At 7 o'clock, we're having the music of Yoni Bloch, and I hope some of your friends are coming. We're going to have wine and cheese, and it'll be a heck of a great time. That's going to be preceded by a discussion about advertising and all the hot technologies, and that's preceded by our next panel, which is on e-commerce. It's called E-Commerce, E-Tail, E-Commerce, E-Israel. How technology is increasing the enjoyment and the buying experience while making sales and easy payments accurate. And I'd like to bring up our panelists as we greet them here. And after this panel, we'll be having a little auction. And those who are in the room will get to participate. We have with us Amit Menipaz from eBay Israel. So you'll learn all about what eBay is doing in Israel. We have live person, that live chat that you'll see. You'll learn about that. We have Magento, Roy Rubin. We have Plimus Hagai Tal, and how payments are being made more easy. And this panel is happily moderated by the ever articulate David Blumberg of Blumberg Capital. Take it away, David. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. And we just heard a lot about saving the world. And now we're going to do something much more important. Let's shop. Right? Okay. So we are talking about e-tailing, and e-tailing has not been traditionally something that Israel's been known for. So it's all the more interesting that we have a number of companies, both American and Israeli, who have something to do with Israel, or not, and I'll let you guess on the which is not. We're going to be talking about the SOCO-MOLO, or LOCO-SOMO mix. That's social, mobile, commerce, and what's the other one? And local. Local, mobile, social, and commerce. All those converging huge trends that are going to be informing what these guys are up to, and probably what many of your companies are doing, and what you, frankly, as a very empowered consumer, are able to do now more than ever before. And just before we start, one little bit of a drash. I heard this as a Yom Kippur sermon in London from the chief rabbi years ago, and I thought it was so appropriate, and I've never had a chance to use it until now. But he said that the Jewish people, and it's not only the Jewish people, but other trading peoples, other merchant peoples, are the first people of the internet. Because we were established as a diaspora with an idea of communities. And these communities had trusted relationships across the world, and we were the traders of the world. And the word entrepreneur is a French word, which means entre, between, preneur, taker. Somebody who takes things between places. And so we are kind of this original group of people who were the commerçants, the people who brought things from the Middle East, spices, to the rest of the world. So it's kind of in our tradition, and I just start with that as a background. Now we're going to do a different little format here today. The format is going to be that our very distinguished panelists are going to each give a brief introduction of themselves, about a minute. Then I'm going to turn it back to you. And what I want you to do is think of a theme that you're particularly interested in hearing us talk about. Because we could talk a lot about what we're interested in, but we really want to make this relevant for you. So think of a theme. I don't want a long question, but after they're done introducing themselves, I'm going to call on a few of you, and I'd like a theme. I'll write them down, and we'll try and address those in our presentations going forward. Fair enough? Ready to shop? All right. Okay. So why don't we start with Amit and come this way with a quick introduction. You can stay there, and you're mic'd already.
All right. And the presentation. Great. So afternoon, everyone. My name is Amit Menipaz. To explain the contrast between the name and the accent, I was born in Israel, raised mostly in Canada, which means I'm loud but very polite. I want to take you back 15 years at the very beginning of, can you change the slide? Of commerce. In 1994, I launched the web content management company before browsers were even coming out. In 1995, Pierre Omidyar started with AuctionWeb. Hold on. And AuctionWeb was the first place that he sold a broken laser pointer to a complete stranger. Next slide. This became eBay. eBay is now 100 million strangers who are buying and selling about $2,000 a second on the platform globally. There are 200 million things on the shelves, and the data warehouse is about 100 times the size of the Library of Congress. I've been working with eBay for 5 years. Most of that as country manager of the development center in Israel, where I'm a very proud exporter of both technology and talent. not just within my teams, but also other startups that we've collaborated with. I'm now a leader in the global product management organization in San Jose, managing teams both in Israel and the US. Next slide, please. So why do I get up in the morning very excited? E-commerce is very big, and it's fun to work in a big and growing industry. Next slide. But it's actually still very small compared to total commerce. Next slide. According to Forrester, we've got a segment which is called cross-channel, which is one of the big trends that eBay is pursuing. And I assume you'll hear more about this from the other panels. In the next 4 or 5 years, it's going to be 5 times the size of e-commerce. Even more exciting. Next slide. What is driving this trend? Consumers. Buyers are driving this trend because they are doing research online and going to buy in a store, or they're doing research in the store for the best price online before they make their purchase decision. They are no longer tied to a particular format, a particular store, a particular channel. They want everything, everywhere, exactly when they want it. Next slide, please. This makes life very difficult for sellers of all sizes, both large and small. Okay, they have to figure out how to get to these millions of buyers. They have to figure out how to deal with multi-channel. They're now competing not just with the stores around the corner, but the stores around the world. And the pace of innovation is getting faster every quarter and every year. Next slide. This is where eBay is trying to help. We try to help connect between the buyers and sellers, building on the foundation of the marketplace and payment solutions. We're trying to help close that gap. We're trying to make things, give the buyers everything they want and the sellers a platform on which to deliver it. Next slide. We call this Commerce 3.0. To put this in perspective, if 1.0 was offline, 2.0 was what was pioneered by eBay, Amazon, Yahoo Shopping. 3.0 is the blurring of those lines. Okay? Consumers now expect to have everything of the best of all worlds: promotions, coupons, loyalty, research, bar scan codes. All of these things need to be available. And for a seller, this is mind-boggling. Okay? And this is what we want to help. 3 trends that we are investing in, which are the future that we see coming. Okay? Local, social, and mobile. I'm just going to give you one example of each to give you a sense of what we mean. Local. This, for eBay, is all about getting the offline inventory online. If you think about it, small businesses are invisible on the internet. Retailers and internet pure plays have figured out how to drive traffic to sites and make their offers seen. Okay? Small local businesses can't really get through the noise. As an example, next slide, we're running this Honeys and Heroes is a clothing store in Palo Alto for kids. And they're doing a beta test with a QuickBook plugin that Milo is using to give get their inventory in real time onto our site to participate in that wave of e-commerce, okay, and channel. Social is a very nascent space. Everybody's trying to figure out what it means. If you think about it, social networks are basically communities of people who are getting together around a common interest. To the extent they're talking about products, eBay wants to participate in the discussion. An example I'm particularly proud of, which I led last year with an Israeli startup company, was Group Gifts, which is basically a mashup between Facebook, Twitter, eBay, and PayPal to allow a group of people to get together to buy a special gift for a friend. What's nice about this is, apart from the fact that, for example, gifts bought through this platform were an average selling price 5 times higher than on the site, the messages that were being sent with the gift through the platform were truly heartwarming and puts the social in social commerce. Last example, mobile. Just to share with you some of the stats to make us excited about mobile, we've got 30% of, by next year, 30% of all smartphone users will be shopping with their phone. Okay? We see that in another few years, there's going to be a $120 billion business through mobile devices. Okay? And even today, almost half of the people who walk into a store scan in to get more product information in one way, shape, or form with their mobile device. Okay? To eBay, that translates into the following. Next slide, please. Okay, we're going to double an already $2 billion business on mobile phones. And if you don't think that this is exciting, then if you look at the next slide, those of you who are addicted to your Angry Birds or your BlackBerry emails will not find this ridiculous. This is the amount of engagement we're getting on our apps, and we have over 40 of them. For people who are shopping online, it's not just shopping, it's also entertainment. And if you think that they're just window shopping, that last slide, this, in February, was sold through the eBay Motors mobile app for $240,001. It's a Mercedes McLaren. And the person won it because he was on his mobile app. All the other people were not. So he got there at the auction just at the very end and slipped in his bid for an extra dollar. All right, last slide. It's all about the customers. We're trying to get the buyers and sellers closer together. It's getting more and more difficult as time goes by, and eBay's trying to help the sellers do that.
That was a great master view, 64,000 foot level, and we're going to come down now. That was actually supposed to go after the rest of it, but that's okay. That's okay. Now,
You said 4 slides, no?
you can do whatever you want. It's your turn to introduce yourself. Please, a little bit about yourself
that's
as well.
fine. That's fine.
And your story.
It's my turn?
Yes.
Okay. So, do I get the same presentation as well? Okay. And that's the way to do it. That it? Next slide. Okay. So, I'll try to explain to you a little bit in a short version what Plymouth is, but Plymouth is a solution for payment and e-commerce and marketing for small and medium businesses. It is more for people who are focusing on digital content, digital goods, or services. I'm going to try to do it in a different way. I'm going to put the slides there, but I'm going to talk about the company in my own way. I think the best way to demonstrate that is through an example, and let's assume we're developing a new game or a new service, then our demands in the payment and the e-commerce business are things from the payment side. We want to be able to collect the money in all the currencies. We want to be able to collect the money in all the payment methods. We want to collect the money in every possible way. We also want to collect in the local currency. We also want to collect the money also in a page which is in the local language as well. Most cases, the small, medium businesses don't really want to deal with the customer service, the refund, the chargeback, all those kind of things, together with the relationship with Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, and PayPal sometimes. We also deal with the invoices and the reconciliation and taxes for those small and medium businesses. That's the layer of the payment. On top of the layer of the payment for this digital content, what we do, we give them all the services around the payment. So if you're just in a position of collecting $30, what you need on top of it is you need subscription. You need 1 week for free and then charge the money. You need the first week for $1 and then $29 and moving forward. And there's a lot of new ideas today about the whole payment, something like the App Store solution. So you collect the credit card and then you start to charge later on a different activity. Together with the ability to host a file, to protect the file, to generate license key if it's a software. So all those kind of solutions, we have them in the e-commerce platform around the payments. And the last piece of that is the marketing tools that we provide. We provide a whole affiliate capabilities. Okay, we're not a marketplace so people can come and find deals like on Commission Junction. But we are the right place if you have partners that you're working with. We can generate the technology to track the affiliate activity. We can also generate coupons. We can also generate a whole mailing list for activities that are happening after the sale. So all those kind of things are coming in one package to people that are trying to sell online content, online services, and digital goods. We have 6,000 clients around the world. The company is up and running for 10 years. And we have 60 people in Israel and 35 people here in the US.
Live person.
How's everyone doing? My mic on? So, doesn't work, but I'll take it. I'm here really to talk about two things since you guys are going to ask questions. One is, opposite of most companies, we're a US company that bought a company in Israel, and out of our 600 employees today, 300 are in Israel. And 10 years ago, when we bought a small company, there were 5 guys in Mushab and Etzion. And we've gone to 300 people in Ramallah. So I can talk about what it's like having employees there in Israel. And the second thing is we work with 9,000 customers in helping them sell more online using chat. And we have 400 of the largest retailers today. So we have AT&T and Bank of America and Microsoft and Apple, J.Crew, and probably many of you, when you've been on a website, you'll see a little button that says click here to ask a question, and you pop it up, and you'll, by chat, ask a question from a customer support rep. That's my company's technology. I started LivePerson 15 years ago. So I'm an old timer with a young face. And basically, when I started, I originally thought about the power of the internet should be about bringing people together. And I thought when someone's shopping online, they should have the ability to connect, like in a real store, with someone and be able to ask questions. And that's how we got started. We went public in 2000. April 7th of 2000, we went public on NASDAQ. We were the last internet IPO. We went public with $2 million in revenues and $20 million in losses and a $300 million market cap. So that was a bubble. And Krispy Kreme donuts went out the day I went out. And I remember being on the road show with Krispy Kreme's CEO. We would get the fund managers, and they would be there, and I look at them and be like, these guys sell donuts. But they would show up with their donuts to fund managers. So they had an advantage because I didn't have anything for anyone to eat. And so they got a higher valuation than I did. But what happened in 2000 is there was a company called HumanClick, and they were out of Israel, and they copied our software like most Israelis do. They used Microsoft technologies like most Israelis. Please, I'm supporting the Israeli community, okay? Please, I got 300 people on the payroll over there. And they gave it away for free, which most Israelis do. And Yossi Vardi, if he's here somewhere, basically screwed up the whole internet model by saying you shouldn't charge for anything. The worst thing you can do with your business model is actually make money. And they believe that. So revenues are a distraction. And the guys we had believed this. So they went after our customers, and they started to take our customers because, like Israelis, their products were better than ours. And I remember, not to prolong the story, but I remember meeting the CEO of this company, and here we're public, and he came to New York, and I had this big conference room, and there were 15 of us, the whole senior team, and there was just one Israeli. This is the first time I've ever met an Israeli. And I remember I'm talking to him, he's telling me about the company. I said, what's your goal? And he said, to put you out of business. But it was like, put you out of business. And I knew he was serious about it. And because I was raised Italian Catholic, I went to Catholic high school, I went to a Jesuit college, I figured now I've got to go to Israel, to the homeland. Not my homeland, but a homeland. So I arrive, we all came from there, right? So I arrive in Israel, and I remember I get off the plane, and I turn to the taxi driver, and I say, I hand him a sheet of paper, it says, Mushab Ben Etzion. He says, are you Jewish? And I say, no. Do you have family here? I said, no, I'm here to do business. I'm about to meet a tech company. He goes, Mushab Ben Etzion? It's a farm, if you don't know. It's a farmland. So I get there, and I arrive, and I remember the taxi driver goes off the highway onto a dirt road and arrives at a chicken coop. I'm not joking you, that says the word HumanClick. That was the name of the company. And I'm thinking, this is a trap by Hezbollah. They're gonna kidnap a public company CEO and hold me for ransom. So I immediately call my mother and say, I love you very much, and just hang up quickly. And I tell the taxi driver, please don't leave, whatever you do. I don't know what's going on here. So he's like, nah, this is Israel. So I go in, and that started a very close relationship. I found the Israeli developers engaging. I think compared to, we had New York developers, which are not that good. And I think compared to even California developers, which I think are very creative, I think Israelis have a sense of community and family and dedication. And we've had guys that have been with us for 10 years and have just done a great job. So I'm really happy to be there. We continue to expand. And we're even now reaching into the community. We started hiring Arab Israelis, which are not hired a lot into tech companies. And we just hired our first Palestinians from Ramallah. So we're starting to bridge the gap between Palestinians and Arabs and local Israel. So I'm proud that we're trying to do something for the community. So that's awesome.
Thanks. And now Roy.
Yeah, that's a great story, by the way. That's fantastic. And just one clarification. You mentioned that Israelis are not good at e-tailing, but they're very good at shopping, which is exactly what we're talking about. So, my name is Roy Rubin. I'm the CEO and founder of Magento. I started the company in my bedroom back in 2001. And I worked out of my bedroom. Actually, the desk was like literally right there. For 3 years, as I built the company, started as a consulting organization. And in 2006, we started Magento, an open source e-commerce platform that is today the fastest growing e-commerce platform in the world. So we're an open source model. We give away the software for free, a lot of free. Yossi Vardi would have liked it. But we actually do charge. We charge for commercial solutions for enterprise products. And we have over 1,500 enterprise customers, names like Adidas and Zoomies and Skype, large organizations around the world that use our solution globally. We have enterprise solutions there. We also have mobile commerce solutions. We have SaaS solutions that we just released. And we provide the full spectrum of needs of online merchants, from catalog management to customer management, promotional management. They run their full operations using Magento. And it's been an exciting few years to see the platform go from nothing into this incredible opportunity for all of us. Company's about 300 people. We're based here in Los Angeles, about 80 people in Los Angeles. Our R&D is in the Ukraine. We've got about 170 people there. And before we walked in, a number of folks asked me, what's the connection to Israel here? So I'm Israeli, and that's really the only connection. We try to do business in Israel multiple times, and I think we'll talk about that here in the panel, and share with you some of my experience in trying to build an organization in Israel, which obviously hasn't been that successful for us. That's about it.
So that's a great starting point. And I don't know, do I have slides? I can't remember if I do. If I do, fine. If I don't, not a problem. I do. OK, I'm going to be very quick on this. But venture capitalist based in San Francisco. We invest in very early stage companies. And we say we invest in the axis of innovation, which starts in the West Coast, here, LA and San Francisco, through New York, Chicago, onto Tel Aviv. So that's sort of our vector where we invest a lot. Let's go on, just very, very quickly. Next slide. Oh. No slides. OK, no problem. So we'll just leave it up there like that. That's great branding. Thank you. Unfortunately, we don't have a store at Bloomberg Capital, so you can't shop there. So we're going to have to talk to our panelists here. Again, most of these folks are platforms. They're not brands selling. We've had some interesting brands come up, Ahava and a number of other folks that are out there selling retail products. But Israel, again, has been more known for this, the infrastructure kinds of plays. And the programmers that we look for as VCs are often found in high concentrations, and as you mentioned, loyal. And especially if you keep them in the chicken coop, that's a good way of making sure they stay on the job. But remember, now is your turn. I'm going to ask you for some themes that you're particularly interested in that we, in the remaining, say, 10 minutes, can address. Not long questions, just a theme or two. We have some of our own, so if you don't have any, we'll fill in. But I want to make sure we address your needs. Services, a little bit more? OK, so the online sale of services in the app world as well, right? It ties in there. OK, great. And it's both B2C and B2B, right? Business to business services and business to consumer services. Both are, it's in the back. Got it. We're going to expand that, wallets and payments, et cetera, and we're going to come to that. Yes, sir. Okay, again, business payment solutions, but got it. So it's sort of a combination, frankly, of the first two questions in a way. Anybody on this side of the room? Any more? I'm going to start calling on you like it's in business school. Okay, you've been paying attention. What does Mr. Rubenstein want to know?
From the platform perspective, to what extent are you driving customers to buy something specific, or are the customers being able to buy what they need?
If I may, where's the balance of power? Is it the vendor pushing or the buyer consuming and directing? Where's the power shifting? And I think we know that, and there's some strong opinions here. So I'm going to say power to the consumer. Anybody else? Okay, now we have a few. Oh, yes, sir. Opportunities for philanthropy through the e-commerce online side. Great. Okay, I think that's probably good enough because we have a number of our own. Other ones that I'm thinking about asking about, just to get you guys ready. Mobile, the role of mobile. Mobile, to my mind, is completely transforming this landscape. We just saw the Mercedes that was sold on mobile. Oh, yes, ma'am, you first. Location-based. Okay, I was going to get there, but you did it more articulately. Mobile is not only interesting because it's in your pocket, but it's also where you are. And so the location-based aspect for informing you as a consumer about what's around you, and also informing the merchants where they can find you. Matchmaking in a sense, so local. Then we're going to talk about Israel, the distance. Does it make the heart grow fonder, or does it leave you cold? Because there's benefits and negatives about being in Israel. The empowered consumer, social shopping. It's a broader definition than we talked about, but there's a lot going on there. And then closing the loop, the last mile, connecting the offline with the online. I think those are sort of the themes. Why don't I start with you, Roy, because you said that Israel did not play a positive role. We want to be frank here. We're not Pollyannish. We're not saying things are sugar-coated all the time. Why didn't it work? And then maybe let's end with a positive note. What can Israel do better to attract your business?
Yeah, so we tried a few times to actually build a development team and obviously hire resources in Israel. I think for us the biggest challenge was the specific technology that we were using, which is an open source based technology. And finding the specific talent for that discipline in Israel was very difficult. And even the very little talent that we found was not competitive economically with other areas around the world. So, despite our goodwill and attempt to find people and really make an effort to establish a business in Israel, we haven't been successful, in doing that.
Any how-tos? How do you argue with an Israeli, Robert?
You agree with them. You don't try to argue with them. No, I think I remember the first 2 years of when we bought the company HumanClick. It was tough, and people write about Americans managing Israelis. Israelis are obviously very to the point, and Americans don't like to hurt people's feelings. And I know for us, the number one thing we do now is when somebody starts in the company and they're in a senior role, we fly them over on their second week if they're here in the United States. We tell them, you got to eat dinner with them. You got to meet their families. And Israelis, I think the connection part is very important for them because Americans, we tend to trust people and then we try to prove them wrong when we work with them. Israelis just don't trust you and then they want to prove you're right. And so if you can get over that trust part very quickly, it goes well. When it doesn't, it's painful because you got communication issues, and we tend to think that also that their English is perfect because they speak English very fluently, but it's very different at times. So it's got its challenges, but its benefits too.
What about Amit? What about you? Israeli, again, managing Israelis, but for a big global American company.
Yeah, so I think that when I fly executives to Israel, they actually enjoy the debate. The thing that they find surprising about Israelis is no matter what their level is in the hierarchy or what their role is in the company, they have a very strong opinion about whatever it is you're saying, which is really great when you're brainstorming or you're trying to discuss things strategically. It's awful if you're trying to manage, right? Because in the US, you say, okay, guys, we're going this way. Nobody says, why are we going this way? Tell me if this is a good way to go. They just go. And in Israel, they really need to understand. Now, that investment is upfront actually very difficult and sometimes frustrating for a manager who's not used to it, okay? But actually, in the long run, it's a fantastic investment because these people, once they understand, okay, they build on that understanding things that you didn't even know you could do. They get really behind the idea of what you're solving and not necessarily what you asked them to solve. And you can often get the most creative, incredible surprises, positive surprises, which is fantastic. However, American companies don't like surprises. If you say something's going to come in pink, if it doesn't come in pink, even if it's better, okay, it really makes people nervous. So I think that the risk tolerance, which in Israel is way off the charts, and in the US is very low, and the communication gaps are sometimes things that need to get behind, and the trust factor is a big way of getting behind that. And if you can get behind that, you find amazing, amazing ways to grow together.
Now let's go to an area where Israel is very strong, the mobile area. Israel has been a pioneer in mobile phones and all kinds of things in that area. So mobile is dramatically transforming this world, and I'd love to have anybody who has an example or how that's going to play out in your businesses. And let's tie it in with the lady's question on local, because mobile has that inherent advantage that a bricks and mortar can't have. Anybody jumping in? Yes,
I
Amit.
already said stuff on mobile, so I wanted to give other people chances on that.
I know right now, if you look at our customer base, we have all the largest banks, so B of A and Citi and Chase and Wells Fargo. Right now, 10% of their transactions are coming through mobile. So from a banking perspective, there's a lot of shift into mobile, and especially people checking their accounts and things like that. If you look at our entire customer base, I think people are still struggling with, do I build an app? Do I have a mobile-enabled website? And that's where the struggle is. And I don't think it's played out yet of how I should do it. Some people need an iPad app. They want an iPhone app. It's still a struggle I see for the e-commerce guys, so I don't think it's played out yet. What?
I think the challenge here is not just the mobile, I think it's the multi-channels. I think it's going to be the TV, the phone and the iPhone and the computer. All this is a multi-channels way to see content or to interact with content. And the question is more, how do I balance it between all of them? How do I create like one account that's basically managing all the content, all the different platforms? And mobile is presenting one of the problems.
Just a statistic I heard from somebody at Best Buy that their mobile sales are increasing, I believe, 3 digits every quarter. And their total focus is on mobile, moving everything toward the mobile world. So it has dramatic implications for those of you in real estate, for those of you in retailing, et cetera, et cetera. Very fascinating trend that's changing.
I'll add something
Please.
in terms of the global perspective, because everybody thinks in terms of the U.S. One of the Israeli companies I tried to promote on eBay, which Facebook actually eventually acquired, was a mobile company that was building solutions on mobile devices, but for Java-based Nokia second, third, old generation phones. Now, that doesn't seem relevant in the world of, iPhones, but in India, China, Eastern Europe, that's the place. So when you're thinking about multi-channel, right, you're basically saying, I want to get to the customer in whatever format he has. And in most of these countries, that is actually that's their version of the internet. And that's where you have to target it.
And that leads us into the question of payments, which you've very deftly segued into, because payment technology is also changing dramatically. For years, we've had pay with credit card, and there were 2 or 3 major credit card monopolists or oligopolists. And then there was PayPal, which is a big innovation. But there are about 4 billion people on Earth that don't have either a bank account or a credit card. And we've just invested in a company that's going to actually try and bridge that gap. And I'm curious what you're seeing in innovations to help people either who don't have credit cards, who don't have banking, or are going to be using the cyber wallets and the mobile payments, because there's a lot of opportunity that we see as venture capitalists in this realm. I'm curious how you, in the platform side, see it. Why don't we start with you, Roy?
Yeah, so I think I'm actually probably the least qualified here, being that we are a shopping cart platform, an e-commerce platform, so we typically don't handle the money. We transmit the money to third parties like Hagai's company that handles the, the fraud, the risk assessment, the processing, et cetera. So I'll pass this to
Pass
Hagai.
the baton.
Yeah.
I think there's some sort of revolution in terms of the way we see people are paying online. And if you would take someone 3 years ago and said you're going to be able to pay in one click through your mobile device, then people will say this is absolutely impossible. So people are buying today something which is 99 cents just in one click. So I think that the change in the changes that happen in technology and also rules and regulations with Visa and MasterCard enabled us today to go to different business models on top of what the payment is capable to do from the technology and legal ways that change. And if you look at what Amazon and Apple and even Facebook Credit now are doing, they basically make it very easy to pay, very easy to buy. And I would never imagine buying Angry Bird 3 years ago with one click for 99 cents. And I do it because it's easy. And I think there's a gentleman here that asked about the philanthropy business, the philanthropy side of how payment can be easy for that segment. And I think this is more emotional decision to donate money, yes or no. Mm-hmm. And sometimes just the challenge is so big to go from the decision here to go to the wallet to do it. I think one of the easiest, it's becoming very easy to make a decision to do a donation. I look at the Obama campaign. There's a lot of people who donate $10 or $20, and I think this was one of the biggest campaign on PayPal. So people donate a lot of money to Obama, and that's the major change that we see as a trend on the web because it's becoming easy to pay.
Great. I'm told that in this world that one of the metrics is that every extra click you lose half of the audience. So if you can really shorten your click and simplify, as they're saying, you dramatically increase ROI. Now, this leads right in, again, to the topic of social commerce. Social, the power of the social graph, Facebook, Twitter, et cetera, is dramatically also changing the retail landscape, e-tail landscape especially. I've seen a number of examples. I'll give you one. It's where user-generated videos connected through the social graph allow your friends to promote a product to you. So there are no more advertisers with paid commercials and actors and celebrities. It's your own friends talking to you about a product. Think about how that changes things. Curious what you're seeing in that innovative area of the social shopping, the social experience, recommendations, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe start with Amit.
So what I see is everybody trying different things. Most of the people, though, are trying to participate by simply being in a social network, which to me is a little bit passive, right? They want a page, they want people to like things. These are things that don't necessarily help in terms of commerce, and even worse, sometimes annoy people. They're trying to pop up and give you messages. I think you have to be more subtle in the way you approach social networks by weaving yourself into whatever conversation people are having. So I think that there are different stages when you're thinking about products. You're talking about them, you're recommending them to one another, you're then getting to a point where you might want to buy. If you're involved in all of those different things, you can navigate and you collect a lot of information from the social profiles. And you can then, in many different ways, promote later your products to the people. But you don't actually have to do it all at the same stage.
And last point is I want each of you to give one word. Remember that scene in, what was it? Anyway, you said plastics, and he pointed like that movie, The Graduate. The Graduate. So what is your word to recommend for the young people out in the audience in the social e-tailing space? What one word should they think about as they leave here? Start with Amit. One word that you think is the most important one for people to think about and focus on for the future of e-tailing.
Sharing.
Sharing, S-H-A-R-I-N-G.
Sharing.
Sharing. Learn it in elementary school, and it's good today. Sharing.
Branding.
Branding.
Yeah.
Sharing, branding, very powerful words. Excellent.
Data,
Data, big data.
which is today when you look at all these companies, when their customers show up, they show up with a lot of data, but they don't personalize the experience. And I think the future of
Excellent.
the business is people come with their data and say, treat me differently because I'm this
Excellent.
type of shopper.
Sharing, branding, data, and
Conversion. So the science of converting a visitor to a customer at the end of the day.
tremendous. With that, gentlemen, ladies, thank you very much. Go shop.
Thank you, David. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Sagai. And thank you, Amit. This is one wonderful panel that we have. I'm going to come in and scoot in between all these, my favorite shopping guys. And thank you. This has been fantastic to learn about how we are changing the world of e-commerce to all of you. And David, can't thank you enough for a scintillating discussion. Thank you. Now, I know you're all excited about what's going to happen next. We're going to jump into something called a maze in video, and then we're going to have a raffle, and then we're going to have the advertising panel, and then we're going to learn about Waze, and then we're going to have music galore. And so with that, I'd like to bring on Jeff Pulver and Yoni Bloch to talk about a maze in video. Big round of applause.
Give it up. We do need about a minute or so to set this up. No, come on. So I'd like to thank all of you for hanging out and to watch. You guys enjoying yourself today? Come on, are you enjoying yourself today? And let's give Sharona some applause for all the work she's done to make this happen. So what we're about to talk about is an amazing video platform. We're actually going to be talking with Yoni. So how many people here are familiar with Yoni's music? Oh, come. Well, you guys better stay. But we'd prefer if all of you would stay for tonight. If you live in the LA area, please text your friends and ask them to come down. The show's going to be awesome. So I first, what we're about to see and talk about, I first saw a preview of it in December 2009, and it really shocked me. Because what I realized is that somewhere in Beersheba or Tel Aviv, there was a technology that was being evolved that was going to change the way we, the people, connect with video in a very meaningful kind of way. And Yoni, I don't think at the time was aware of how great his platform was. And it turns out that MTV thinks it's amazing because a music video that was created using this platform won. What did it win? It won the Most Interactive Video Award of 2010?
Most innovative.
Most Innovative Video Award. And so why don't we, so this is Yoni.
Yeah.
He's a very shy kid from Beersheba.
Hi. Yeah, Beersheba, if you don't know, it's like Texas of Israel. It's in the south. I'll tell it like really
Go
fast.
ahead.
I grew up in Beersheba. My dad was a physicist and my mom was an artist. So when I was 5, my dad bought me a Commodore 64 computer system and my mom bought me a piano. So growing up, I played a lot of classical music and played a lot of computer games. So as you can imagine, as a teenager, I didn't have a girlfriend or friends. But it gave me a lot of time, to play games and classical music. And as when I got a little, older, so I got a really pretty girlfriend because I played guitar. I started, I started uploading songs I recorded at home to an internet site, an Israeli internet site that was actually much before MySpace, that let users post songs and things like that. And I actually got a record contract in Israel, and I released 3 albums there. And this thing that I wanted to show today.
You could also say that I believe that, Yoni is the first artist in Israel who was discovered on the internet, because not only did he put his music out there, but when he announced he's doing a concert in Tel Aviv, what happened?
Yeah, when I did my my first show in Tel Aviv, I just wrote it in my website, in that website. It was 2001, so there was the internet was still slow, and I just wrote it there, and 300 people came, which is a lot. And what was really beautiful about it is that nobody knew who I am and how I look like. And when I walked between the crowd, I heard 2 girls saying, "Oh, I really hope he looks good." And I was just, damn. But the thing is, when I recorded my last album, it was a very depressing album. My girlfriend left me after 6 years. And I did this megalomaniac album where I did a video for the whole album from beginning to end, a 45 minutes video. And while I did it, I had this idea to do, instead of something so wide, to do something deep. That instead of conventional video, to do something that has depth in it, in the idea that instead of giving one linear music track and video track, I will create a world and let users explore that place. So I'm going to show you the first demo we did. Wait a second, that's not part of it. That's just the basic idea that this is like a timeline, a regular timeline, and the only thing we did is that in predefined points in the timeline, we let users make choices that change both the audio and the video. And I'll show you the first demo we did. Let's see that. So Jeff, you can be the commenter.
Okay.
Commentary.
So we're in someone's apartment in Tel Aviv right now. Now we're going to the balcony.
This is me, right?
I don't want to be sad anymore.
As walking
I
inside the
want
party.
an open door with no one coming through.
So the idea, it starts out just like any other music video, but as we approach the second verse,
A place where I can sit.
there's this guy and this girl.
So do you want to go girl or guy? What do you think?
Let's say I click on the girl, so I give her the headphones,
I want a clock.
and now we follow her. But if I would have clicked him, there's a completely different video and different things happen. But to see them, you have to play it again. Now she also joins the singing, so the music also changes.
I want to say
She's now flirting with this guy
whatever
that's kissing
comes to
the daughter of
mind.
Robbie Porat Shoval, if you know her.
Better wine,
She's famous in Israel.
better come.
And now we can choose between him and her. Of course, we'll go with her again because we like girls. Now this was all shot over one night in Tel Aviv, both in English and in Hebrew, and there's 256 different combinations you can make. Now it's the best choice. You can choose if you want to go with, wait a second, Christmas or Hanukkah.
What do you think?
Hanukkah, of course. This is the Israel conference. Don't even ask. Now she was supposed to be wild, but this is what she was. That's what she did in the end. That's the wildest Hanukkah can get. So now the choices don't have to be who you're following or anything like that. Here, for example, we're choosing something that is just musical. We can choose if the next chorus will be acoustic or electric. Let's acoustic, okay. But next choice, you'll make it. Yeah. And now they pick up acoustic instruments and play it acoustically.
Notice the music doesn't stop.
Yeah, so everything is seamless. If you don't make a choice, it will make a choice for you. Here, it doesn't have to be two choices. Here we can choose who from the band will take the solo. Now you say, who do you like?
I think the weirdo.
Wait, let them.
They want the weirdo too.
Yeah, everybody always picks him because he doesn't have a shirt. This is actually his apartment also, so it's okay. Now each one has a completely different dance and a completely different solo playing. Now when we wrote the script, it was important to me that no matter what choice you make, in the end,
Yoni.
It's back to me. So everybody will remember who's the star. So there's no choice.
Just Yoni.
Yeah, but the idea is that because this is all in real time, your choices are actually creating your version of the video, and then in the end you can share it with people, you can download it, but you feel that though I've created a world that people can explore and any choices they make are acceptable by me, they feel that they've actually also created their own version. So here now I'll take off the headphones and you'll
Wasn't
see.
that nice?
Yeah.
We have one more video you're going to show?
The what?
One more video?